Okay, we are live.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Oh, oh, that's not what we want at all.
Oh,
Okay, so the book this month that we chose, we also did an effort with the Asian American Pacific Islander month. We did Forest of Lost Stolen Girls, Stolen
yeah.
Girls, Forest of
Lost
Stolen
Girls.
Girls,
No, yeah.
Stolen Girls.
Forest, Forest of Stolen Girls. The
Yeah,
Forest of Stolen Girls.
by Jen Hur.
Yes.
Um, do you want to? What did you rate it?
So I'm between a 3 and a 4.
Oh, really? You liked
Yeah.
it way more than I did.
Really?
I was like 2.753.
Really? Okay. So the ending is what kind of upped it a little bit for me. I think this would have been a book I would have enjoyed physically reading versus the audiobook. Because when you're reading it, it makes the intensity more. And for me at least, like when I read a book and I can see the words and I can turn the page, I just get that it's just more of intense than listening.
Like
So
it gripped you more.
yeah, exactly. So like I was kind of thinking about like when I was reading Sadie, and it was it's one of those books where I physically read, and it was just very the anticipation. And so I think the ending really helped. Like the last fourth of the book, but the first like three-fourths of the book, I couldn't get over how unlikable the main character was.
So I agree with you. When I read a book versus I listen to a book, it is way more intense, and I'm a lot more. It sticks with me more.
Yeah.
However, I listened to Sadie, and that was I
Oh,
still
really?
recommend that book to this day
Okay.
because I listened to the audiobook and it was so enticing to have like the podcast side of
That's
things. And you know,
true.
what I mean? Like that is such a vivid book to me, and that's what I did. I did it audiobook, so
Yeah.
I totally get that. I what honestly what like helped this book was listening to the epilogue.
I'm actually going to retract what I just said because I just realized that I listened to the entire series of The Diviners, and that was just like super gripping listening to the audiobook. And so was like okay, so I take it back. I take it back. I take it
I
back.
definitely like see your like I know what you're getting at, and like I do agree that like things that I read tend to have a better chance of sticking with me more.
Right.
But and that's why I loved listening to like so romance books. I almost always exclusively listen to audiobooks now, because I like to hear the banter. Same with mysteries,
Yeah.
true crime, because the way that it is told is what gets me gripping of like getting me sucked into it. If I'm having to set it down, I'll be
Yeah.
able to pick it back up. But if I'm listening to it, it feels like a edge of my seat type of experience.
Interesting. Okay, I can
And
see that.
so I was really bummed. I was really high hopes for this one. I was really bummed that it
I
didn't do
know.
more.
I wonder if we just went into it like with too high expectations because all the reviews that I had read were talking about how atmospheric it is, which I
I
will
will
give it
agree with
that.
that. Yeah.
And just how gripping and how telling the story was. But I don't, I couldn't connect. And maybe we need to like switch our genre a little more. I don't know. Like maybe are we just getting to that point where young adult is not doing it for us anymore? But then I think back and I'm like, no, because like I could reread Twilight and still enjoy it. And that's like I
You
don't
can
even
remove
think
yourself from it. Yeah.
exactly. So but that's a reread, so I don't know if that counts.
again, I am gonna throw back to Sadie. I mean, that is still my favorite YA thriller.
Yeah.
And this one
Same with the
felt,
Diviners.
yeah,
You need to read the Diviners.
no, I know.
It's a commitment, but it is so freaking good. And it takes like the supernatural into it. It's so good. It's really, really good.
I
You
have
would
the first audiobook, I just haven't read it.
oh, you need to read it. It's so good.
But like that one is what I like flip back to is that like we were very engaged with that and that was YA and I don't
Yeah,
think like
that's true.
it being in the YA genre has anything to do with the lack of it. Um
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That was kind of a not stereotype, but that was I don't
yeah,
want to like group all YA books into that category.
but I feel like when I was reading this one, this felt like an adult book to me actually.
It did have a lot of like adult content.
Well, that and just like
Um,
the tone of it.
yeah,
And maybe that has to do with because it was historical fiction that it felt a
yeah.
little more adult because it was historical fiction. Um, but I definitely was listening to this and I was like, okay, this is if this is YA, I'm not sure. Maybe because it's lack of the age of the girls maybe makes it YA,
15 and 18, yeah.
and that it was nothing graphic. They kind of like skipped over the graphic parts of it.
Yeah, it's like alluded. I
Yeah,
think like kidnapping, I think they allude to rape, but I don't think
very briefly though. It was
yeah,
not like
it wasn't anything.
because
I
I can be triggered by that, and I wasn't
yeah,
triggered by it.
I think something that like stuck with me is like the dad carving up the girl's face
Yeah,
when she was like telling that description, like telling her story. I was like, ooh, I don't know.
yeah.
There's just something about it.
Well, and there was
Um,
like a public display and everything too.
yeah. But I mean, there's violence in YA as well. So I mean, I guess that. But you're right. Like I just the main character was just so unlikable, and I don't think she's supposed to be likable. I think she's supposed to be selfish, self-centered. Like she was written that way for a purpose so that she does have that good character arc, and then we get that sibling bond and that sibling rivalry, and like this book is mainly more about probably the dynamic of the sisters than it is about well it's like two there's like the mystery of the girls, then there's the mystery of their father, then there's like the relationship of the sisters. So I think she's supposed to be unlikable.
So for me, the reason why I'm rating this so low is because there was just too much that tried to be done here. And
Yeah.
I wish that we would have gotten a little bit more streamlined. Like I would have rather had a more simplistic mystery story being told than trying to work in all the different try to plot lines happening and then being like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like you have no focus in this mystery that you've now traveled to try to solve. And it's like it started off with the mystery of the forest girls and then it switched to her father and I'm like, so have we forgotten about the forest girls or was this our original focus? And we kept
Yeah.
thinking too much and then it was investigating all the people and then it was a lot going on and I
That
just was
is
like why like I felt like the book was all over the place and that's why I really liked the epilogue is because we got to listen to the I don't even know if it's a full epilogue. It's like after the epilogue. It's like the
yeah.
author's note that like I liked and it helped me.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
Where she talks about
yeah. So
yeah.
it's like author's notes and she talks about like the actual historical events of why she
Mm-hmm.
was interested in this and why she wanted to write the story. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I would have loved that story, but I don't feel like that's what I just like listened
Yeah.
to.
Is she a mystery writer? Is she like a thriller mystery author?
I think so. Let me double check.
I'm trying to see. I know she's written other works, right?
Yeah. So it oh
The Silence of the Bones. That's
yeah,
it.
and the
Everyone
next
talks
one is
about that.
the Red Palace.
Okay. Is that also thriller?
The cover looks like fantasy to me.
Really? Silence of the Bones? I'm getting more thriller.
Oh, Silence of the Bones thriller. The Red Palace looks more
Yeah.
fantasy to me.
Okay,
I don't
interesting.
know either one of
Okay.
those though.
I was just curious because sometimes it's hard to write mystery. Like mystery is one of those where it can't come off too obvious. Like you said, you have to really weave the plot very well. You have to drop clues, but also
Not be
bring
obvious.
in exactly bring in like that's why I don't read a lot of like mystery because it's hard to find like a really good mystery sometimes. Um and so that's why I was wondering if like this is her first like mystery book uh and like give her some grace, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, you know.
But I think this is her genre. At
Yeah.
least it looks like this is the second book. Um,
Yeah, it might be.
I don't. It just didn't like sit as well with me as I was hoping because I think that the story and like the lore of it all is
Mhm.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, and like how the women were sold and traded like
Yeah.
livestock, like all of that was very interesting to me. I wish we got a little bit more insight. Like
Yeah.
if it would have been more of like a detective thing versus a mystery, like a detective of like she's like watching these women get traded off type of thing and then they disappear and we
Yes.
would have done it that way. I think it would have been a lot more gripping versus trying to figure out what's happened in the past
Yeah.
and like the fact that they found what was it, four of them together,
Yeah.
like why. And I know that they like alluded like though they're trying to it's like a fatten the pigs up for slaughter or whatever, but it's was that slaughter referred to as in like getting sold off or to get killed or
See, I was really confused with the ending. I wasn't sure.
well, I
Eh,
had thought I was under the assumption that they had found all the bodies and knew all of these 13 were already dead. So then I was
yeah.
like, we found four of them, and now it's like, oh, we're trying to find the other bodies,
Well,
and it's like,
no, not necessarily because she constantly always says there are 13 girls missing. And then she was like, oh, wait a second. We found one. Like at the very beginning, they do find one body.
yeah,
And so then she does say to herself a couple of times, um, oh, okay, no, never mind. 12 missing girls. And then it went to 9 because they found three girls and her sister. So the
yeah,
four.
yeah.
So then at one point she does say something about the 9 of them. But it would yeah, I had to like re-listen to the ending a couple times or twice, like the first time and then a second time, because I was just very confused. And then I was confused with like um, the girl who killed herself, I guess, the
Yeah.
daughter. I was like, wait a second, everyone was saved, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, where did that come from? I must have spaced out or something. I like missed that
Of the healer
completely.
girl, right?
Yeah.
The healer. Well, and that's why she was like latching on to her sister was because like trying to make up for it. She was taking care of
Mm,
this other girl, which is her sister, because her daughter had done all of that because she was trying to go after like this all happening and she was saying like no, I'm going to go and kill them, and then she was like no one wants their daughter's blood on their hands and things like that.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. I'm talking about. Hang on. Um,
This is what I mean, like if
Lady
they just
Moon, Lady Moon,
oh, gotcha. I thought you were
and
talking about
like
the healer.
no, 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 not the healer. Sorry, not the shaman. Shaman?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not her. No, Lady Moon, the girl. Like Village, it's Village Elder Moon. correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like crying over her body, right? At the end. See, that's why I'm like, where? I thought she died.
Well,
Did she not? No.
I don't I don't know. Now I'm questioning whether or not that I've understood that part of the ending. Because I didn't think that she had died. I thought
And
they were talking about the daughter of the shaman
uh,
dying.
okay, maybe that was it.
But that was
I
not right at the end. So maybe something else happened
Yeah,
during
no,
this
no, no,
too.
no, no. It wasn't. Yeah, it was the and like the problem is I can't find it.
But this is what I mean. Like they tried to
I
do too
know.
much in this book, and then it's like you're trying to keep up with all the different twists
Hmm.
and like things that they were trying to investigate within the town. Speaking
Yeah.
of, was your mind in the sleuth mindset while you were listening to this? Did you have any like guesses going through it?
Yeah, so I was like 99% positive it was going to be Inspector U.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be him. Like the second they went to the cave, like first of all, the physician left, the girl physician left, and I was like, why would she have left? And then they come back and he like will take me to the cave. Let's go see. And I'm like,
You're
it's
gonna
him.
die.
It's him. It's him. It's him. I was expecting a huge struggle and and that's when I was like kind of like but that never happened. So I and it's interesting because like the guy that we thought the guy who cut up his daughter's face, who the main character was convinced it was, or the sister was convinced it was. I was like, oh, it's too obvious, but he ended up being involved, so I'm not sure if I like that as much either.
See, too much went on. Too much
Yeah.
like side stories were happening in this. I really was like hooked from the beginning that it was gonna be the dad, and the dad was gonna like was not who like she had idolized him out to be, and then it like
Yeah.
talked about the sister being like kept alluding to that, being like, oh, he's he's not like the great. I would never choose to be his daughter again. Like all
Hmm.
of that stuff, and I was like, okay, something happened here, and like don't get me wrong, like the thing that happened, like of him like leaving her in the forest to like teach her a lesson was bad, but not to the extent that I was expecting. Like some abuse type of stuff happened, and that was not it. It was just leaving her in the forest, and I
Yeah.
was like,
You mean the sister, the main
yeah,
character, or the sister?
this sister. So the dad left the sister, like yeah, the sister, in the forest, and I don't know if he left her in the forest when he knew all of these hidden things were happening, like all these girls were going missing, because like that part
Okay.
would be fucked up then. But like if he like she had a lot of hatred towards the dad for just like leaving her in the forest and like them riding away, and then like for just a little bit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I felt that was very extreme of her. Like he's the worst person, and I'm like, he was trying to teach you a lesson because you were throwing a fit. Like I get that you were the
Yeah.
like the impression was that he was too hard on everybody, like their his own kids. But I was like, that's a little extreme to like. I was really expecting like he had abused her
Yeah,
type
I was
of
too, especially
hatred because of
yeah.
how intense it was.
Yeah, especially when she always said like you had a loving father, I did not.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was very surprised that,
Yeah.
and also like the reader's voice or the writer's voice felt very old
Yeah.
compared to 15.
Well, she's 18, but yes.
Well, the younger sister.
Oh, yeah, she sounded so much older than 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cuz she was 10. And also, okay, here's another reason why I did not like Juani. Is that her name? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
I never know how accurate the audiobooks are with pronouncing
Yeah.
these names, so I apologize if I butcher it. But the main character, she goes on and on about how her sister always tried to ruin her life and always tried to steal things from her and be the center of attention. And oh, that's what she expected, blah, blah, blah. And she's thinking about this as an 18-year-old. But these thoughts, she's talking about her 10-year-old sister. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you're kind of like expecting a lot. And like, you're being way too harsh for a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Like, she was like going through her backpack looking at that mirror and she's like, oh, she always would steal my stuff, like ruining my life. And I'm like, oh my God, you are literally you're 18 right now. And like your sister was
Especially in a
10,
historical setting
10 at
too.
the time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was just baffled. Like, I couldn't move past her thoughts of like
Well, I didn't really
how,
like either one of them.
yeah. But I agree, like the little sister, her voice was much older than 15.
Yeah. But I like so especially in a historical setting as well, you grow up so much more. Like in a historical setting, you're
Yeah.
expected so much more of you in that a historical setting.
Yeah,
So
like 18 you get married and you start having babies.
yes, so that makes it like even worse. Her mindset, and I don't know if it was because she was supposed to be this like high-ranking person that she was supposed to be spoiled, but I didn't like that part of that either.
Yeah, she mentioned like her mansion and her father's estate while
Yeah.
her sister was like growing up on an island with like limited resources. And I was like, I couldn't. I just couldn't.
She's gonna
Ugh.
make it to your most unlikable protagonist that we've read at the end of the year,
She
huh?
she was so bad. Well, the problem is at the end of the year, I honestly cannot, like, I can't tell you if this book is gonna like stay with me.
Right? Oh yeah. Well, and so like on top of the many different storylines that we had, there was
Yeah.
also many different like ways that they were killing people and not killing people with like
Yeah.
the poison, but then the poison didn't actually take into effect, so then it's also a stabbing, and then
Uh,
it was all like a mix, and it's like
that's another thing that I was like, I and then she was even like, wait, why was poison wouldn't take days? I don't know.
also if you had like so we had already found out that the dad was like potentially poisoned, right? Wouldn't you be on high alert that you were already like on the hit list for this masked man because you like have memory of him and you found out that your father was potentially poisoned? Why would you not be wary of anything you put in your body? How did she end up getting poisoned? I
Yeah,
was just
she
like, how are you
licked
that
it.
stupid?
I know. I was like, you're not going to do it. She's not that dumb. She's not that dumb. Please, please tell me she's not that dumb.
Yep.
And like, I get it. They had to like get a physician to help her. And like, but like, she could have just like rolled her ankle. Like, found
Yeah.
a different way to have gotten the physician to come help her. Not to mention, I mean, I know they were talking about like how her father was just like, it talked about the insects. So if she hadn't have poisoned herself, which let me just taste this unknown substance.
Yeah, right. And then she like alluded it to it being like, oh, this is similar to my monthly cycle. And I'm like, poison is similar to the monthly cycle? Like, that's what we're going on right now?
Did it
Okay.
ever explain why the shaman had the poison?
Yes, because the sister knew that she had that substance in there, so she was using it for something. Like, she was helping.
Oh,
She was
that's
using
right.
that like substance to help someone else.
That's right. That's when she told her of her. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Because it can cause like it like lets you relax and like numbness and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I mean that's a good point. Like if someone's a healer, and has like all of these herbal medicines and stuff. Like, don't go digging around.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand she was like sleuthing and like,
But why would you taste it? That makes no sense. If you thought like what was the game plan there? Like if you thought it was poison, why were you tasting it? Like, and if it wasn't, what's the point of tasting it? Like either way is a dumb move. Like
yeah. And then my worst part is like her sister is dying in the mountains
and she just
and
left her.
she's like, "Oh, I'll be back at noon. I just need to go
I
look
could
for
not
these
believe that either.
clues." I was like, "What?
Focus.
What? What?"
Yep.
So there
And
are
she like went 100 trees away. Like she went a ways away.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally she made a comment like, "Let's tend to the living now and then we'll like figure out the
Right?
dead." And I'm just
I had
like,
to
"Oh my
rewind when I got to that
god."
part because I was like, wait, what just happened? What changed her mind? And it was like, nothing. She just has now decided after 100 trees and finding this that now that she like actually had a hot lead, she was gonna walk away to go back to her sister. And I'm like,
Yeah, it makes no freaking sense. I was so mad.
did you ever think that the dad was alive at any point?
I did, honestly. At one point, I kind of thought maybe the dad was like, I thought it was going to be like a twist and the dad was the bad guy.
I really thought that.
And so I was hopeful that he was still alive or he was like undercover or something. Um
I
I was
also
I
thought
was
that like when they went to that village when they got lost, also that was such a dumb move as well. That is maybe why that book like grinds me too much is because like for a mystery book they make a lot of dumb moves and
yeah.
you're like investigating this and you don't have that mindset of being like, oh, maybe this is not a good idea. The fact that they're like, maps are for when you are lost. We're not lost,
Oh.
we're just ambling about. And I'm like, in a forest where the killer is, like what?
Oh.
And then so I really thought like when they came upon that like village and she was like, come follow me to the waterfall, I thought that was gonna be like a secret hideout for the dad.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was hopeful that he was still alive. I was a little like I was kind of like, "Oh man, that sucks that he's dead."
Oh
Not
man,
to lie.
that sucks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I really thought that he was. I didn't think that he was gonna be killed,
Yeah.
but he was.
Or dried.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that part. I will say that
which
that was a
makes no
weird twist to
sense.
it
There's like no reason. Was he like encapsulated? Like, why wasn't he decomposed?
because the poison that they fed him it stopped
Uh,
decomposition supposedly. I don't know what poison they're feeding them, but yeah, it
I
sounded like he turned into a dried piece of fruit. The way that they
that
were describing it.
that makes no sense. Okay, I'm not like an herbal, I don't know anything on I'm not very good at botany or anything like that. But if you happen to know,
Of like herbs
I
to
have to
take that will dry out a body.
can you Google can poison stop decomp?
I mean, I'm sure that mystery writers do, so it can't be that bad to
That's
Google
true. That's true.
that. But yeah, there were just too many inaccuracies and like the
I
storylines trying to do too much, and
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. There
I
was too much thrown in. I completely agree. There was way too much thrown in for such a short book, or like you said, there wasn't enough.
like I wish we would have just followed one storyline
Yeah.
and done that. Like if we would have actually stayed on track with the historical reason why she wanted to write it, with like the girls being sold off and like all of that, like that would have been
Yeah.
way more interesting.
Yeah, like she had, like fallen into that like yeah, that would have been really like gone undercover or like gone to that I don't know. That would have been
Like that
interesting.
trading that's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she had the I'm not like too mad about the dad theory though. Um I'm kind of wondering if like because that's what got her to the island was her dad.
Yeah.
Um okay, I do think like the sister staying behind was just complete like that didn't do anything to the story. Like that
No.
did nothing. Like the two girls, I understand it was about sisters, but like you said, we could have stuck with that, or we could have gone into like the trading mystery and stuff. And if we had done that, then maybe the two sisters could have gotten their journal from their dad and then maybe found their dad early on at the very beginning, like stumbled across his dead body or something, and then been like, okay, now we need to find justice for these girls, and then the rest of the story be about the girls.
Yeah, totally. That would have been way more like better formatted. And
Yeah.
like also tie in why include the other sister since the other sister was kind of like thrown in there. So like maybe the dad was trying to bring them together. So like she had the key to unlock the journal, so they had to work together to find out the
Yeah.
mystery. Like that whole part of it would have been interesting
Yeah.
versus being like, okay, the little sister's tagging along now.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though I mean she did deem helpful,
Oh
but
yeah.
it would have just been interesting if like I don't know. I don't
It didn't fit the
yeah.
characters because she hated dad so much. So the fact that she was like, no, I'm coming with you. Like I'm coming to figure out what's happened too. I'm like, why?
Yeah. 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 Like especially someone who like left her.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. I think there could have been some different plots. Like dropped one or just focus on one instead of everything be
At once, yeah.
yeah, like there was three main plots and it was too much. I agree. Now that we've discussed it, way too much. Dad's disappearance, disappearance of the girls, and then the sisters
Yeah.
relationship. It was
And
just all
the
too
sister's
much.
past too, tying in with
Yeah. Oh
all of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Don't forget about like the everything the event of the forest, whatever it is that they called it.
Yeah. And then like
Yeah.
all of the different subplots of like the girl getting marred up. And like so that's all like tying together and I can kind of see that. But then it's also like um the girl trapping her in that house and then having like not wanting to tell her what was it, her like aunt or something, and like her
Oh
aunt
yeah.
meeting her back home and like her like all of it was too much.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like unnecessary detail.
I wonder how many pages are in this book.
Um I mean it's a decent sized audiobook. It was like 10 hours. Let's see. Um, according to Amazon, it's 384 pages. So actually a decent size.
That's a lot of different plot lines and less than
Yeah.
400 pages though.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
I wonder if you would go through and highlight every time the storyline changes.
Oh
How
my
many
gosh.
highlights?
Well, it's so funny because like okay, also like not so much happens, but then
Oh,
like
you're cutting out.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
It's a little hard to hear.
I can hear it. Like the mic just stopped.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So much happened, but then like so little happened. Like
Yeah,
normally
because she kept running into dead ends.
I'm constantly pinning notes and I'm constantly like writing things and there's like phrases that jump out at me and there's things that I want to discuss and then in this one I'm pretty sure I like have two notes
Yeah.
and they're all about the main character not liking her. Um yeah, I'm like 99% positive that's all it is.
I will say it was very atmospheric.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the positives.
So
Uh,
it was very atmospheric. I liked the forest part of it. I liked the jungle part of it. I liked the way that they described it. Even the town, like
mhm.
all the different people
Her
and how they
imagery was
interacted with each
very
other.
her imagery and description.
Yeah, yeah, it was very wild. It felt like.
Mhm.
uninhabited type of style.
Yeah.
Um, what else did you like about it?
I will say her writing did flow.
Did it?
I think so. Just because the plot was all over the place.
I know, but that's
But
part of the writing.
yeah, I don't know. I still felt
She
like
kept running, like she kept running into dead ends with her
yeah,
like
I guess you're right. I was gonna say at some
mysteries.
points it was like a little poetic. At some points, sometimes when she was like doing her descriptions, like at the very beginning when she's like on the boat and she's looking out at sea, I was like, okay, wow, this is very like I don't know.
Lyrical writing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Like I don't dislike the style of her writing. The
Yeah.
structure is the main issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah. I don't because like I didn't necessarily feel
You're
oh, I
cutting
think
out
it cut
again.
out. Yeah. I heard it. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. I I would definitely read another book by her because I didn't necessarily like language-wise, like the words she chose didn't feel like it was a juvenile book.
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um but like you said, the plot and maybe the structure of it
Would you
wasn't.
listen to another one on audiobook or would you physically read the next one?
I think maybe I would try to physically read, but honestly, I don't see myself really picking up another YA thriller. I don't know.
It's Sadie, man.
I know it was so good. But was that YA or is that adult?
That's YA.
It's YA. Because there are some adult books that are considered that like
That was all crackled.
oh man. There are definitely some books that are like for example, The Lovely Bones. Is that YA?
Yeah. I
Is it
think so.
because that is like adult
Also
content.
a Sadie.
Yeah,
But I mean, there's a lot of like adult content in a lot of YAs. It's
that's
just upper
true.
YA, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. A young adult is up until like 2021 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I
not
don't
writing off the genre. I'm just gonna be
know
picky with it because a lot of it is.
which which I mean it got such good ratings. Let's see what
Mhm.
does Goodreads have. Granted it's a new book, so it's hard to like really um it just came out, so obviously you don't
I don't know. We talked about a book that just came out today that has like less than 3 rating.
yeah.
So I mean, it does happen,
Yeah.
and
And
like
sometimes
that's
I have
what
to like
reviewers do. You know, they review it early to give you a heads up.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But like I like to actually look through um why can't I find it? Oh, wow. Okay. I want to see Force of Stone Girls. There it is. Okay. Um
What's the average rating?
average 3.8 with 632 ratings.
So that's actually not a lot of people have read it,
That's
considering this is on one of the most anticipated
yeah.
reads lists, like several of them. No one's getting
Yeah.
to it,
I
which is very
agree.
surprising.
And like, let me see. And I like to read reviews, especially like the one stars, because sometimes people are like, I don't like the author.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just like, you can't
But I feel like
rate.
this isn't one of those that's like, super hate just because the author.
Yeah, it's not. And you know what? It's interesting because like a lot of people like it. Like I'm scrolling through and it's all like 5 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars. People are really, really enjoying
Well, if it's a
the
3.88, they're not complaining
yeah,
that much.
the Korean historical fiction. People are really enjoying it,
I
which
like
I
the
really
different
liked.
twists on historical fiction because
Yeah,
usually it's, World War II and that's it. So I appreciate that they are going in a different
I really liked it.
theme,
Yeah,
but I just wish it could have been better executed.
yeah,
I love the idea though.
yeah. Did it feel like it was? Did you feel like you were in the 1400s, or did you feel like you were potentially in like modern day?
I wouldn't say modern day because they would have used, cell phones and, like they had a whistle to alert people, you know what I mean? Like,
A wooden whistle, yeah.
yeah. So I don't think that they would necessarily be in modern day. It didn't scream historical for me.
Yeah.
It more so felt like um no, more like backwoods,
Yes,
like
camping.
third world, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, like no electronics. Um
more like wild,
yeah,
like you were living in the wild and this is not a developed nation and like
correct.
that type of stuff.
I didn't feel like I was in the 1400s. Like it didn't scream like some of the things they had.
Well,
I
we don't really get that much tied into it. There's the nod to you shouldn't be traveling alone. You have to dress up as a boy to be able to travel. So
yeah,
there's that nod to the historicalness. And then like her being of like high stature
that's
was a
true.
nod. But that was pretty much it.
Yeah, like you don't see them like with candles at night,
Right.
and I don't know, I just didn't get that. Like for example, when you read like The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, you're like, "Oh, this is definitely set in this time period." Or Stalking Jack the Ripper, you have that ambiance of,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, this is definitely like the 1800s in London." Like I definitely felt like we were in a different like not it was like Korean. I
Yeah.
definitely felt that atmosphere, but I didn't feel so much like historical fiction. Like I wish that we would
Especially
have
for
gotten more of the surroundings of the 1400s. Like
yeah,
does that make sense?
especially for how like atmospheric this book was.
Yeah.
Really missed the mark on like the time period atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Well, I think that
Okay.
covers everything that
Yeah.
we can talk about. Is there any other nods that you wanted to add in?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
So next month, I am really excited for, which is One Last Stop. I'm sure you're just as excited because Red, White, Royal Blue is you've read that way more than I have.
I've probably read that book like 5 times.
Yeah, I've only read it twice. But I'm very excited for this one. We've got a sapphic, spooky romance in New York City. I've already read like 30% of it, and I'm
Wait,
gonna just start it over.
it's spooky?
Yeah, well, kind of, because like ghost like.
Ooh, I'm excited. I just
So
knew
what
I
it
just
is
knew
like there's this yeah. So there's this girl on a the train, and she like can't like I don't want to give anything away. I'm only 30% in, so I can't give that much away. But like,
Okay, okay. Okay, you don't have to tell me. I'm excited. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good. So good.
let me see what is in the
What's in the synopsis?
yeah.
One Last Stop by Casey McQuestion. Okay, let's see. Cynical 23-year-old August doesn't believe in much. She doesn't believe in physics or easily forged friendships. Psychics. Wow, not physics. Psychics or easily forged friendships or finding the kind of love that make movies about. And she certainly doesn't believe her ragtag roommates, her night shifts at a 24-hour pancake diner, or her daily subway commute full of electrical outages are going to change from that. Um, Gorgeous girl on the train, Jane, dazzling, charming, mysterious, impossible Jane. Jane with her rough edges and her swoopy hair and soft smile. Jane doesn't just look odd. like an old school prank. Wow, I'm tired. Um, it says she is literally displaced in time from the 1970s, and August is going to have to use everything she tried to leave in her own past. Ooh, magical, sexy, big-hearted romance. Okay, I'm so excited.
So that is going to be next month. We're very excited about it. And that one will be over on Gabby's channel.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. How long is the audiobook?
I have no idea. But I think it's a pretty chunky book.
Yeah. I'm downloading it right now. Is the audio good? Like the narrating?
I haven't, I physically read it because I got an art a
Oh,
while ago, and then I just can't do ebooks. So I only got
yeah.
to 30%. So I'm just going to do it on audiobook.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one is for next month. And then
Yes.
we do
Ooh.
have
It's a 12-hour audiobook.
okay.
So it's pretty up there.
So that one will be for technically for June. And
Hmm.
then July, we've got the Poison Heart. And then stay tuned for our next 6 month selection. We've got to get together and pick out those ones. If you guys have
Yep.
any suggestions, leave
Yeah.
comments, or tweet me. That works too.
Especially since fall is like usually the big releases.
Yeah. All
So,
right. Well, I think that is going to be it for this live show. Thank you guys for watching, and we will
yeah.
see you guys the next one. Bye.
Bye.